Today on Histopedia, we're uncovering the remarkable story of a treaty that ended a revolution and redrew the global map. On September 3rd, 1783, the Treaty of Paris officially brought an end to the American Revolutionary War, recognizing the United States as a sovereign nation for the first time in history. But this treaty wasn't just a simple agreement to stop fighting. How did the fledgling United States, with limited resources and no standing army, managed to secure favorable terms against the most powerful empire of the age? What role did European rivalries and secret alliances play in shaping the outcome? And what were the long-term implications for the United States, Britain, and the rest of the world? This is the story of the Treaty of Paris of 1783, a landmark event in world history that not only ended a war but also laid the groundwork for the rise of a new nation. By 1781, the American Revolutionary War had reached a turning point. After years of struggle, the American colonies, with the help of their French allies, achieved a decisive victory at the Battle of Yorktown. General George Washington's army, supported by French troops under General Rochambeau and the French Navy led by Admiral de Grasse, trapped British General Cornwallis's forces in Virginia. On October 19, 1781, Cornwallis surrendered, marking the last major military engagement of the war. While Yorktown was a massive victory, the war wasn't officially over. British forces still occupied key cities like New York, Charleston, and Savannah. The Royal Navy continued to dominate the seas, and Britain hoped to leverage its military presence during peace negotiations. Meanwhile, the United States was struggling with financial instability, unpaid soldiers, and a fragile union between the states. The war's end on the battlefield set the stage for an equally challenging diplomatic effort. The negotiations that led to the Treaty of Paris began in earnest in 1782. The American delegation in Paris included Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and John Jay, three men with very different personalities but a shared goal: to secure independence for the United States on the best possible terms. Franklin, already a legend in France, used his charm and connections to sway French opinion. Adams, ever the pragmatist, focused on legal arguments and detailed proposals, while Jay brought a sharp mind and skepticism about European motives. The Americans weren't the only ones negotiating. France, led by King Louis XVI and Foreign Minister Vergennes, had supported the American cause with troops, funds, and naval power. However, France's primary goal wasn't just American independence. It was weakening Britain, their longtime rival. Spain also entered the fray, hoping to reclaim Gibraltar and other territories lost in earlier wars. With so many competing interests, the Americans had to navigate a delicate web of alliances and rivalries. Complicating matters further, Britain was deeply divided about how to proceed. Prime Minister Lord North, who had overseen much of the war, resigned in 1782, and the new government under Lord Shelburne was more inclined toward peace. However, many in Britain's parliament still clung to the hope of maintaining influence in North America. Britain wanted to secure trade agreements and protect loyalists who had supported the crown during the war. These conflicting goals made the negotiations both complex and contentious. In Paris, the American negotiators faced a difficult choice. France had been their closest ally during the war, but its goals didn't always align with American interests. Franklin and Adams disagreed on how much to rely on French support. Jay, sensing that France was prioritizing its own agenda, took a bold step. He bypassed the French and opened direct negotiations with Britain. This decision proved crucial. Britain, eager to drive a wedge between the U.S. and France, was surprisingly receptive. Jay's move accelerated the talks and allowed the Americans to negotiate directly for what they needed most: recognition of independence, territorial expansion, and economic freedom. The French were initially angered by this maneuver, but Franklin smoothed things over, ensuring that the Franco-American alliance remained intact. After months of negotiations, the Treaty of Paris was signed on September 3, 1783. Its terms were transformative. Britain officially recognized the independence of the United States, marking the first time a major European power acknowledged the colonies as a separate nation. The treaty also set generous territorial boundaries, granting the U.S. land stretching from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River and from Canada to Spanish Florida. The treaty secured fishing rights for American fishermen in the rich waters off Newfoundland, ensuring a vital economic resource. It also addressed the treatment of loyalists, promising fair restitution for those who had supported Britain during the war. Additionally, both sides agreed to repay pre-war debts, an effort to maintain some level of economic stability. For the Americans, these terms were a resounding success. The territorial gains alone effectively doubled the size of the young nation, opening up vast opportunities for westward expansion. However, these gains came with challenges, particularly in managing relations with Native American tribes who were excluded from the treaty and faced increased pressure on their lands. The Treaty of Paris didn't just change the fate of the United States and Britain, it sent shockwaves across the world. For Britain, the loss of the 13 colonies marked the end of its first empire, but it also forced the nation to pivot. Over the next century, Britain focused on expanding its influence in Asia, Africa, and the Pacific, laying the foundation for its second empire. For the United States, the treaty represented a new beginning. The young nation now had the freedom to chart its own course, but it also faced enormous challenges. The war had left the economy in shambles, and the new government under the Articles of Confederation struggled to maintain unity among the states. Yet, the promise of independence and expansion inspired hope and ambition. Globally, the treaty demonstrated that colonial powers could be challenged and defeated, inspiring independence movements in Latin America and beyond. It also set a precedent for peaceful negotiations, showing that even deep conflicts could be resolved through diplomacy. While the Treaty of Paris was a diplomatic triumph, it came at a human cost. For Native American tribes, the treaty was a disaster. Their lands were claimed without their consent, leading to decades of displacement, conflict, and loss. The promises made to loyalists also went largely unfulfilled, leaving many of them impoverished or exiled. These unresolved issues would haunt the United States in the years to come, contributing to future conflicts like the War of 1812. The Treaty of Paris was more than just a peace agreement. It was a turning point in global history. For the United States, it marked the birth of a nation rooted in the ideals of liberty and self-governance. For Britain, it was a humbling moment that sparked a reinvention of its empire. And for the world, it was a reminder of the transformative power of diplomacy and determination. As we reflect on this monumental moment, we're reminded that the end of one struggle is often the beginning of another. The Treaty of Paris didn't just end a war, it set the stage for a new chapter in history, one filled with opportunities, challenges, and the enduring pursuit of freedom. Thank you for watching Histopedia. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we explore more stories that shaped our world.